We're back with the Thursday night tailgate. Hopefully you got a chance to check out our recap of the first week of playoffs. What we're going to do now is take a look at championship week. We got Eastern Conference championships going on. We got district championships going on. We're going to take a look at all those matchups. And we are back here at the Summit Hill American Legion Post 316. We're on location again, and what a fantastic place to be, especially the week when we celebrate Veterans Day.
Oh, absolutely, and we were just hanging out with some of the guys upstairs, all veterans who served our country, and you can't thank them enough for what we have, the freedoms that we have, and just a great place. And Coach Cramsey and I, we kind of were raised in this place down here.
We've been here a few times.
Yeah, we've been here a few times.
Even back in the younger days.
Yeah, they'd always tug us along, and we came willingly, and now we come here, on our own. But what a great place, and a great place, or a great way to honor veterans this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, they had to sneak me in the back door tonight because, I'm not as familiar with the American Legion in Summit Hill here. But, yeah, we've said it numerous times, this country is what it is because of the generation we have ahead of us. We're younger guys and,
Well, you're a younger guy.
I'm a younger, but
We're
still.
medium.
They paved the way for us. They had all those sacrifices and, it is what it is because of them, and we can't thank them enough. Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's take a look at our Eastern Conference matchups. We're going to take a look at the championship tilts. First, we got AAA Saucon Valley at Coughlin. Saucon Valley took care of AFL champ Jim Thorpe. We're hoping to see them bring home some hardware in the postseason, but Saucon Valley Coughlin is going to be our 3A matchup.
Yeah, we're rooting for Saucon Valley. I know it's an AFL program, but Matt Ivanko, great guy. I coached against him, and I had the opportunity to talk with him a little bit this week. And we gotta like the local teams and the District 11 teams against District 2, and we're hoping for the black and red in this one.
Yeah, and I know it's only the first year that they made these changes to districts, and we keep going back on it. But if there's anything that needs to be done to fix that and tweak some things, Saucon Valley needs to go and they need to win this Eastern Conference here.
Yeah.
And they need to say, you need to look at this because we can't leave teams like this out next year.
Yep.
And that's what they got to do. They got to take this, what they have, and they need to fix it and make some minor adjustments if they think it's what it is. Get the good teams in that should be in there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. In 2A, North Schuylkill at Northwestern Lehigh. This is interesting. It's very interesting. The Colonial League with their closed schedule, it makes it very hard. Any other teams, you can usually find some common opponent somewhere down the line. Somebody played somebody, you can get an idea. I feel like with the Colonial League schools, you never get that idea.
Yeah.
And it's a neat matchup.
I think, if there's a game of the week this week, and locally, this is the one, I think. This is the one I would like to go to. You got Northwestern, who just has some explosive kids. Harry Hall, he's a sophomore. He had 1,275 yards rushing in the regular season. Add to that the 237 that he had last week. He's over 1,500 yards in a season already. And amazingly, for those of us that know Northwestern over the last couple of decades, he's the first ever sophomore to have 1,000 yards in Northwestern.
I was shocked when I heard that.
Yeah, I look at the Snyder brothers. I think of some of the great backs that they had there. They had an Eastern Conference team, or a team rather, that went all the way to the Eastern Final one year against Mount Carmel. Ended up losing. Mount Carmel went on to the state championship that year, and they had 3 great backs. And I'm like, this guy's the first sophomore to ever have 1,000. But not only that, they have Cam Richardson, one of the fastest guys. We're track guys, and we know about Cam Richardson. He's like a 10-8 type, 10-9 kind of guy, and 500 yards receiving. And then Frankie DiGello, their quarterback, 1,000 yards passing. So they have some weapons.
Richardson, just speaking a little outside the box from experience with basketball, his athleticism is just phenomenal.
Yep.
The kid, he can't be taller than 5'11".
No.
I would assume. And he's getting up there. He's getting an elbow above the rim. The kid's an athlete. It's very impressive.
I think the key factors to this game, in my opinion, is 2 things. North Schuylkill needs to take care of the ball.
Yeah.
Because it seems like all year when they turn the ball over, they've had trouble. You
look back to Marian.
You look back to that Marian game. You look back to the Jim Thorpe game.
Oh, yeah.
That's number one. Number two is North Schuylkill's defense. Even I know at the beginning of the year we were very high on them, and then they got beat up by Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe had a short field a few times, scored on them, this and that. But their defense has been pretty consistent this year, and they are going to have their hands full.
Yeah.
If they can handle Northwestern and limit them a little bit, they're going to give themselves a shot. And I would think Northwestern's the favorite in this. They knocked off Caddy 2 weeks ago.
Sure.
But
I'd agree with that.
at the same time, I mean,
And speaking of the points, is Northwestern's another team that got left out of districts by a hair.
Yeah.
so this could go either way. This is definitely a game that if you have nothing going on Friday night, jump in the car, go down Northwestern Lehigh and see this game. It is going to be a very good game.
And both teams 8-3. Winning team's going to be 9-3 with the Eastern Conference Championship.
Yeah.
So, boy, the winner of this game, that's a nice season.
Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes you get those EC champions that end up 7-5, and it's still like, okay, yeah, but they didn't have a winning record going into it. 9-3 Eastern Conference Championship. That's nothing to sneeze.
This has a district matchup type feel.
Oh,
to
yeah.
it.
It really does.
It does.
Absolutely. All right, single A, the matchup we were hoping for. Boy, this is going to be interesting. We got Marian at Mahanoy. Marian 6-5, Mahanoy 8-3, playing for the single A Eastern Conference Championship. Both teams dealing with injuries at the quarterback position. Marian's kind of been dealing with it all year. Mahanoy, their offense revolved around Dylan Maymon. So this is really turned into a much more interesting matchup, albeit for the wrong reasons. You never obviously want to see someone injured, but this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, both teams, like you said, have major injuries. KJ Snur, Dylan Maymon. Obviously, Maymon is a much more important player than Snur, but just when you get Snur in there, you can see how explosive he is. So having Maymon out and Snur out, I would expect the score to be a lot lower. I don't see the offenses to be as explosive, but 40-6 first time. Please do not look at that as any indication of what it's going to be.
Throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. It's going
Means nothing.
It's going to be a tight game. Turnovers are huge. Penalties will be huge. Special teams will be huge. Whoever can win those three right there has got a very good shot to win this game.
I wish we were doing something all year long, like a breakout player, because this week my breakout player would be Matt Yatsena. I just have a good feeling. Obviously, Maymon was a huge part of Mahanoy's offense, but we talked about Kaczynski last week for Marian coming out of nowhere. We already know what Yatsena can do athletically. On a basketball court, the little bit of time that he did get this year and blowouts and all that, coming in for Maymon. This week, if any week, we're looking for a guy who's gonna be the guy we're talking about next week. I think it's Matt Yatsena.
It's interesting. Obviously, these guys are playing bigger roles because of injuries.
Yep.
With that being said, looking at what is some of the major differences now between maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. You had a lot of guys back then, very talented athletes that were sophomores waiting their turn.
Yeah.
Freshmen absolutely waiting their turn.
Oh, yeah.
Freshmen, if they were an exceptional freshman, maybe they were bumped up to JV. I mean, back then everybody had freshman teams. And even yet, you might have quality juniors. And I think that is the biggest difference. And this week we're talking about the EC playoffs right now. The one thing we know about after the EC games, everybody involved in these games, their high school career, everybody that's a senior, their high school career is now over.
Yep.
And you feel like you get to know them so much more because they're starting to play so much earlier. You didn't see this many freshmen and sophomores
I would agree with
playing
that.
10 years ago. And it's interesting because you become so much more familiar with these guys as the years go on because they're playing so much more.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that has to do with the end result, but I think it's going to be interesting.
I thought it was a great point.
All right.
Took a little long to develop, but hey, that happens with all of us here sometimes.
It's like a soap opera,
All right, so EC, any closing thoughts?
Like you said, it's the last time. These guys know this is their last game. It's not win and go on.
Right.
It's win or lose, you go home and you get ready for whatever it is that's coming up. And hey, leave it all out there. If you're a senior, enjoy it. Underclassmen, this is your way to take that step for the program, for yourself, and build towards what you want to have your career work towards,
Okay, so now moving on to districts, we're going to just take a quick look at the 3A game. We're going to have Becca at Southern Lehigh. Becca 7-4. They beat Lehighton, who's coming into the AFL next year. Southern Lehigh is now 10-1. They beat Pottsville. In 2A, we got Palisades at Catasauqua. Palisades 8-3. Catasauqua 10-1. Their only loss against Northwestern Lehigh. Catasauqua appears to be healthy now.
Yeah, Tom Falzone said last week, he's the head coach down there at Caddy, he said that this is the first time they dressed the entire team since week 5. And they had some major injuries. Rayvon Burton, who amazingly came back, he's coming back from an appendectomy. That's something. I said mistakenly a few weeks ago that he was out for the year. Turns out he was out for the regular season. But not only that, some of the other guys that they have on the team, some of the, oh my God, the wide receiver, Paris, yeah.
Paris Marshall.
He had a high ankle sprain, but he looks like he's back now. So, Caddy, if anyone in District 11, you might say make a long-term run, and we obviously love Haven, we hope they do, but Caddy's a team that people are talking about. So if they're healthy, that might be the case.
Right. We don't want them looking ahead, but we can, and we talked a little bit about that last week. I think I went off a little bit about roadblocks and Philly schools, and
Yeah.
we'll come back to that later.
But you know what? Let's not look back to Palisades, though. Caddy still hasn't won a district title.
Did they
Everyone
play
talks
each
about
other
how-
this year?
They did, and Caddy beat them pretty handily. But that's why they play the games.
Hey, same thing happened last year. Caddy beat Penn Argyle, and then Penn Argyle came back, beat them in the district championship game. So.
Yep.
Single A, our boys from Haven.
Yep.
Haven's playing for the District 11 Single A Championship, represent the Anthracite Football League in districts. They're going to play Williams Valley 10-1. Haven 8-3, but hit their stride.
Yeah, you gotta love Haven.
Love them.
I didn't see the box score last week, but I'm wondering if they threw a pass. I'm guessing they didn't.
A trick play?
No trick plays last week, but if you're a Haven man, just keep on trucking. Get it rolling. Defensively, they stepped up last week. They held a very good quarterback who had over 1,300 yards rushing to like 50 yards rushing, and they really stepped up defensively. I expect them this week to go out against Williams Valley and have another strong effort. And it's gonna be a tighter game. There's no doubt about it.
I think we got a district champion in the A9. I like Haven. Times News guys, pay attention to us if you want to win that pool that you're doing. Haven over Williams Valley, but I think this is an outstanding team who's finally healthy and finally got everything running the way that they expected before the year.
Yeah, Williams Valley, a Schuylkill League school in some sports, and they're having a very nice year. But obviously, we're pulling for Haven.
Yep.
AFL, we want Haven to move on and keep going as far as possible. I hope we're here next week talking about the interesting matchup in inner districts that Haven's going to have, and
it's going to be an interesting. Whoever comes out of District 11 Single A.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it's going to be District 2, which is going to be either Dunmore or Old Forge, which is going to be an absolute war.
Yeah, Single A's loaded this year.
Single A's got
Columbia,
some eastern half of the state has some very good Single A squads, and
that would be great.
whoever comes out of the East is going to have a very good shot at winning.
You got to wonder where that game's going to be, and boy, it's just interesting. It's going to be last person out of Haven, turn out the lights.
Yeah.
Going up to that game. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. But
hey, speaking of next week, though, we will be here no matter what. Even if Haven does not win the Eastern Conference, we're going to recap all the games. We're going to be here for a few more weeks.
There you go.
Okay, but what I was going to say is we're eventually going to have a year-end roundup show where we talk about some full season awards. But we can worry about that a little bit down the road.
Yes, but we are. We're going to wrap everything up. We're going to wrap up what a fun and exciting year it has been in the AFL. A lot of these teams and players that aren't playing right now that were fun to watch throughout the year. So we're going to take a step back and recognize them. So once again, thanks for joining us. That is our District and Eastern Conference Championship preview. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, this is Cole Region Football. Out.